without delaying further, here is Dr. Rodmyr F. Datoon in his presentation, Enabling Alternative Actors in the National Extension System.
Good afternoon. I am Rodmyr Datoon from the Division of Agriculture Extension Agriculture Systems Institute in the College of Agriculture. I'm here to talk about enabling alternative extension actors through smart technologies. Case of the Rice Crop Manager, or the RCM. This presentation is from the research project funded by the Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Agricultural Research, entitled Taking Agricultural Innovations into Scale, Developing Alternative Strategies from the Adoption of Rice Crop Manager Recommendations. This is a joint project by UPLB and ED. The UPLB team is composed of Evelyn Sano, Marian De Luna, Daniel Laborte, and Teodora Malabanan, while the ED team is composed of Alice Laborte, Lourdes Velasco, and Sheila Valencia. As we all know, the Philippine agriculture extension system can be characterized as pluralistic, meaning composing of different actors operating as extension organization or extension agents. It can also be characterized as fragmented, meaning these actors work independent of each other or not in coordination with one another. Each actor has a comparative advantage. Of course, each actor also has limitations. So in this presentation, I will be focusing on the government, input suppliers or the fertilizer or chemical suppliers, and the cooperatives, which have their own extension programs. Of course, there are also some actors, namely the SUCs, some NGOs and people organizations who has extension programs, but I will not be talking about them in this presentation. So because of this pluralistic arrangement, these different actors have their own, as I've said earlier, have their own extension programs, but the backbone of the system is still the government, especially the LGUs. The advantage of the government is it has access to public funds, it has the ability to enforce policies. However, it is limited in funding, especially, of course, the LGUs, where you can see they lack the human and sometimes technical and sometimes the equipment to do the extension activities or to disseminate modern technologies. The input suppliers, on the other hand, has an advantage in resources and capital. And they also have access to R&D and knowledge. They are profit-oriented, and because they have extension agents, they make themselves accessible to the end users. Cooperatives, like like private corporations, have financial resources themselves and manpower. And because of this, they make themselves accessible to the end users as well. Especially because they're located in the villages, in the towns, they are more accessible to the end users. So all in all, there's a potential to increase coverage when we factor in this various extension actors in the system, in the extension system. There's a potential to cover many farmers and provide them with correct information. However, there is a need for standardization of information because, as I have said earlier, this extension system is very fragmented, and they are not. I know they're sourcing their information from different sources, so it's that the information is not standard. RCM, or the Rice Crop Manager, aims to contribute in solving this problem. The RCM is developed by ERI, funded by the Department of Agriculture, and it aims to provide a smart way of providing farmers or having farmers access to knowledge and information regarding proper and scientific based nutrient or fertilizer management. So, how does it work? First, you download the app from the internet. So maybe an extension agent downloads it, or the farmer can download it themselves. And then the extension agent can interview the farmer, or the farmer can, if they have the app, can input their own information in the app, and then they submit it to a cloud-based server. An algorithm automatically generates recommendation, and then it sends it back to the app. For those farmers who has no computer or has no smartphones, it can be printed by the extension agent or the intermediary and given to the farmer. Or if they choose to or choose so, that the recommendation can be sent to the farmer. Okay, so what does this solve? What does this RCM, this cloud-based platform, solve? So if you look at our current knowledge dissemination system, it's characterized as from top to bottom. The knowledge or the information from international research centers and national research centers uh, goes through the national government agencies, different offices from the regional, provincial, municipal, before it can get to the farmers or the end users, the knowledge. This is also true in some private corporation dissemination system. So having a cloud-based platform, it can bypass the levels of offices, geographic locations, and different actors. It makes the information readily available to the end users, the farmers, or the intermediaries. For as I don't know, for example, the international research, national research centers, and private research centers can just upload the information in the cloud, and through the internet, it can be accessed readily or immediately, almost instantaneously by the end user or the intermediaries. And more importantly, it is standardized. Everybody can get the same information or the same standard, the same legitimate information as the other. So there is a uniform or standardized information or source of information. So let's see closer. What is this recommendation contain? It contains farmer and field information. It contains the cropping calendar or the schedule or the stages of growth of your crop or your rice crop. It contains other crop management recommendation, and it contains nutrient management recommendations, and of course some organizational information. So the meat of the recommendation is this, the nutrient management recommendation. So it provides each farmer a unique recommendation or a personalized or a specialized recommendation on nutrient and crop management, because each farmer's field is different. So it needs a unique or personalized recommendation. It also contains the right time of fertilizer application, which stage of the growth of your crop should you apply the right source, and the right source meaning the right type of fertilizer, and the right amount of application. So this is important because according to some studies from ERI or conducted by ERI in their evaluation trials and their pilot study, if you do the right time, right source, and right amount, if you follow it, you could potentially increase your yield from 840 kg to 550 kg, with a gross return of 9,600 to 9,300 pesos. So it increases your yield, and it increases your profit if you follow the right recommendations. However, because this is internet based, and as I've said earlier, the backbone of our research, of our extension system, is still the government and the LGUs, which is having difficulty accessing in the internet, especially in rural areas. This RCM, or this technology, is not being optimally disseminated to the farmers. So another, but the good news is, because being cloud based, other actors can step in and fill the gap. Uh, Filled the gap by the government. These are the cooperatives, the fertilizer distributors, and small fertilizer stores. As I've said earlier, they have the equipment, the internet access, and the manpower to do extension. And because of this, no, because of the RCM, it enables them to be alternative actors. So our project, the project that I mentioned earlier, especially look into this, and specifically assess and studies how this can be, how these actors can be increase their effectiveness in doing in disseminating the RCM. So according to our initial studies, the cooperative can be viable alternative actors because they have the physical and financial resources to access the internet. Of course, they have the human resources. And they're very accessible to the farmers being located in the villages. Of course, there are some limitations. They cannot access their non-members, the non-members and the poorer farmers who are not part of the cooperative. However, we found out that the most important factor is the motivation. We found out that the cooperatives are motivated to use RCM because it improves their business efficiency and profitability. If farmers do the correct fertilizer management, or apply the correct amount of fertilizer, it increases the yield. And remember, cooperatives loan money to the farmers, and if farmers are more profitable, then this helps the business of the cooperative. It also reduces risk and uncertainties. If they reduce risk and uncertainties, then loaning for the cooperatives is easier. And of course, it legitimizes the information that they are giving to the farmers. The farmers are not second guessing the cooperatives, or they don't have doubts anymore, because they see that the source of the information is from trusted sources like the PhilRice, DA, and EV. For fertilizer distributors, we found out that they can be viable extension actors because they have the physical resources and access to human resources and equipment to access the internet and provide the recommendations to the farmers. Of course, the limitation is that they are limited to high productivity areas. To those areas which has low productivity, they cannot cover it because they will not profit from it. The motivation for them is, when the farmers use the optimal fertilizer or amount of fertilizer, it leads to increased sales for them. And as also, like the cooperatives, it legitimizes their recommendations because the farmers will not second guess them anymore or have doubts anymore, or they will not accuse anymore the fertilizer distributors of recommending fertilizers for profit, right? For small fertilizer stores, we found out that their advantage is their proximity to the end users, because they are located in the palenque, in the bayan, in the poblacion. They are frequently interacting with the end users. So this frequency leads to, of course, frequency of interaction leads to frequency of recommendation. So end users can easily access these stores, they can also easily access correct recommendations for fertilizer management practices. Some limitations also involve human resources, so and they need training in accessing the or in giving recommendation, and some physical resources or access to the internet, because some stores don't have access to the internet. So like the large fertilizer distributors, their motivation is for their business to grow, and it also legitimizes their recommendations to the farmer. So in summary, cloud-based agriculture innovation provides accessible, timely, consistent, science-based, and standardized information for everybody. Freely accessible cloud-based fertilizer recommendation platform empowers private actors in performing agriculture extension. Science-based information provides private actors legitimacy in providing extension service to the end users. This is very important in empowering these private sectors. Each actors have their comparative advantage and limitations. Despite this, they can augment the limited capacity and resources of government extension services. So what is the implication of this in policy and in research? Improved internet access in rural areas is key for smart technologies to be optimally used by end users. So in our time, in this fourth industrial revolution, internet access is key, especially in rural areas. The private sector can be viable alternative extension actors in disseminating smart agriculture innovations to achieve wider impact among end users. They can be used to overcome limitations of public agencies and end users. In order for technologies, however, to be disseminated by private actors, it has to be incongruent to their business models and organizational objectives. Thus, in developing smart technologies, we may consider the private sector's innovations. So that ends my presentation, and I am happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Presentation on users or extension users of technology. Indeed, no matter how advanced or how beautiful technology would be for the next for the smart tech